Hey everyone, it's just Dr. Andrew Orr here. Look, I just wanted to say Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone first. And yes, I am on holidays. I hope everyone else is having a break too. I know a lot of people probably won't be going back till next week, so that's always good. So listen, today I'm actually going to talk about something very important, and it's about our New Year's Eve resolutions and our resolutions for New Year's. And before I start, I do want people to take the personal out of it because you know me, I'll always say the facts and say how it is. But before I say it, but the thing is, most people are going to fail. And I don't want that to sound negative or anything because I'm actually going to talk about how you can't, there's ways around not failing as well. But a lot of people are going to go into next year not changing anything and then thinking that everything's going to change. Or they make all the good intentions and, at the moment I've seen so many posts that next year's going to be a good year and that's great. Positive affirmations, that's what I'm all about. It's all about being positive and thinking and all that kind of stuff and talking about it. But it's like anything, we can talk about it, but if there's no action behind it, then all those words are empty words. So this is what I want to talk about. That actually probably only 10% of people are probably going to achieve their New Year's Eve resolutions. And I think it's a lot of it is to do with unrealistic expectations for a start and setting themselves really, really high goals that they probably aren't going to achieve rather than taking small steps and getting there slowly. So one of the biggest things that we'll see is people after Christmas and New Year want to go and try and eat healthy and, they want to lose weight and things like that. And that's a really, really good thing. Let's face it, putting on extra weight and eating all those bad food is probably one of the number one causes of ill health and also inflammation in the body. So that's one thing you do have to do. So when I talk to people about diet and when patients come in to see me, I'm not putting them on a specific diet, as in dieting. And this is where people go wrong too, because they want the, the magic diet. And look, there is no magic diet. There isn't. It's about eating healthy. It's not about dieting. It's eating healthy. And that means ditching the refined foods. Look, I even know, some people say to me, oh yeah, but just a little bit of this and a little bit that won't hurt you. Yeah, a little bit probably won't hurt you, but most people's a little bit is something that they have every day. And let's take a packet of biscuits, for example. If I just have one sugary biscuit out of a packet and eat it, it's probably not going to do too much damage to me, really, on the grand scheme of things. It probably got about 5 teaspoons of sugar in it. So when that goes into my bloodstream, I am going to get a massive sugar hit, and that will spike my sugars for a little while, and that will increase some inflammation in my body for a little bit. But the thing is that if you ate one of those biscuits every day, by the end of the week, you've eaten a whole packet of biscuits. And this is what people have to understand. The other thing too is the unrealistic expectations about taking things like supplements. And often I tell people that, before you do any weight loss or anything like that, you do have to get your gut right or your microbiome right. And a lot of people come in and I start them on microbiome restore and do all the things that they need to do, clear the bacteria. Because basically a lot of people's bloating and their pain, whether you've got gyno condition, whether you've got endometriosis, whether you've got irritable bowel syndrome, whether you've got any form of any disease, dysbiotic bacteria lead to a lot of inflammation in the body and they lead to a lot of gut problems, and then that further spirals into other areas. And we also know the gut and brain interconnection too, that, if we've got too much bad dysbiotic bacteria and we don't restore that microbiome, it affects our brain too and our moods and everything. So I know recently I was helping a friend and do some micro, get their gut right and everything. And then a little while later they come up and said, oh, I felt really good in the beginning, but now I'm not feeling as good. And straight away I thought, oh, here we go. It's the blame game. It's someone else's fault. Because that's what we do as humans. It's always someone else's fault. Because we don't want to take ownership. And that's the truth. So I was like, okay, here we go. All right, tell me. Oh, well, I'm tired and blah, blah, blah. I'm starting to feel tired again. I felt really good in the beginning. Okay, are you sleeping? Oh, yeah, I'm sleeping better. Okay, what's better? Oh, well, instead of getting up 4 times a night, I'm only getting up 2 times a night now. And I'm like, well, that's better, but you still got broken sleep. So there's part of your tiredness. Are you eating good? Oh, look, I only have the odd treat. And then one of their family members goes, you eat chocolate all the time. And I was like, there you go. Well, maybe your diet's not so good. Are you exercising? Oh, yeah, I go for a walk. What? Around the block with the dog. And these are the things, it all adds up. And the thing is, like anything, you can take 1,000,001 supplements. And we always say that, and it's on bottles of things, that unless you've got a proper diet, that most things aren't going to be as effective as they should be unless you have an adequate dietary intake. Let's be honest here about vitamins, minerals, and things like that. You've got to have a good diet in the first place for them to be absorbed properly and all that kind of stuff. Same with restoring your gut bacteria. If you're constantly feeding your microbiome and these dysbiotic bacteria with sugar, dysbiotic bacteria actually feed off those refined sugars. That's their food source. So if they keep getting, replenishing and growing, replenishing, growing, replenishing, growing, next minute you've got all this dysbiotic bacteria in there, and then you're trying to put a few measly million other bacteria in there when there's 100 billion of these bad bacteria in there, and they're just getting overrun all the time. So you got to have a look at that as well and be real about things. I know on another example, I was talking to a couple about fertility before the holidays. And one of the male partners has never been really good with his diet. He loves the alcohol. Every time he goes away, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, this time he said, oh, mate, I'll do it better. I'll do it better. And then, so it comes back and the results aren't that great. Oh, but I've been taking all the stuff and I've been doing this and doing that. And I'm like, yeah, but did you cut down the alcohol or did you cut it out? Oh, well, I'm better than I was before. Yeah. And did you exercise? Oh, no, I didn't get, no. Oh, what about your diet? Oh, well, I can't, I can't do, there was always an excuse. I said, it's not like that. You can't take things that and then put other things in that are going to destroy your body. So let's be real about it. So one of the major things we need to talk about is diet. Refined foods. Refined are full of refined sugars. Things like gluten-free, for instance. A lot of gluten-free products are worse for you than the actual products that contain the gluten on one level. Because, a lot of them are laden with different chemicals. They've got emulsifiers, they've got a lot more sugars and stuff like that, because when you take gluten away, so gluten is protein that helps bind things together, and when you don't have that binding agent, then you've got to put other binders in there when you don't have that there. So it's catch-22. But obviously, if you're gluten intolerant, you can't have gluten. One thing I say to people, instead of going gluten-free, go grain-free. Just go wheat grain-free. It's the best thing you can do for your body. And, we all hang on to this thing, all these refined foods like bread, for instance. A lot of people say to me, oh, I never see you eat bread. No, I don't eat bread. I said, I might eat bread a couple of times a year, if I'm out with a friend, and when, you know, go to a cafe or something, and there might be a slice of really good sourdough, I might have it, but that'd be like 2 or 3 times a year, because bread is just a filler. And these days, I mean, bread was born out of poverty, really. It was there to fill us up, make us feel more full. But what's bread got in it? It's full of flour, which is refined. It's refined flour, so it's a refined carbohydrate. And then it's got yeast in it, so that's going to bloat the hell out of you as well. So what do bacteria and that feed off? They feed off sugars. They feed off temperature. They feed off things like yeast. So all you're doing is feeding all this bad bacteria, and people are wondering why they're bloating all the time. I know a lot of people that as soon as they drop bread, they drop kilos, like within a week, by just not eating bread. And I mean, look at the old Sizzler restaurants, if anyone knows what's, you know, most people I think know what Sizzler is. They used to feed you up with that bread so that you wouldn't eat as much because it bloats you. That's the other thing. The other part is things like soft drinks and that. They'll bloat you as well. They've got a gas in them. When you drink that gas goes into your stomach. It bloats you. And sugars, again, are going to bloat you. The next thing we need to be really, really real about is alcohol. Now, I'm not a stickler or anything like that, but I enjoy a glass of wine, and I was brought up that, you know, it is in moderation, alcohol is good for you. But at the same time, if you're extremely overweight and you're trying to lose weight, and then you think you're going to keep drinking alcohol and still lose weight, you're sadly mistaken. It doesn't work like that. And people always use the, oh, but it, you know, it's good for you card. In one sense, it is good for you. I mean, it has red wine, especially, has resveratrol, and it's got other nutrients and stuff and that in it. But at the same time, you've got to remember that alcohol is made from sugars. And again, it is empty sugars that you're consuming. And if you're not exercising and then you're not doing the right things, what do you think's going to happen to that? It's adding to more calories in your body, and it's going to add to more weight gain. So, and it also stops the fat burning process. Too many sugars stop the fat burning process, and they make your body store fat. That's just how it is. And we also have to remember is that alcohol is inflammatory, and also alcohol is a poison. If it wasn't, you wouldn't get a hangover. So let's be real about this. If you're wanting to lose weight, you have to ditch the refined carbohydrates. So that means all the refined carbohydrates. That means the biscuits. That means the flour products. That means the bread. That means the pasta. That means all that kind of stuff. You got to ditch it if you really, really, really want to lose weight properly, because that's what a lot of people's goal is at this time of year. My goal is always telling people to get healthy. So I look at the health aspect of diet. And when I talk diet, as I said, I talk about the proper way to eat. Because if you eat healthy, you'll naturally maintain proper weight anyway, and you will lose weight at the same time. We also have to be real about inactivity. So let's have a look at that as well, because I see a lot of people, you know, they've got these gym memberships and they come in and see me and they haven't dropped anything. And they go, but I'm going to the gym. I'm like, are you eating well? Oh, yeah. So we try and address the diet thing, because I know damn well that they're not eating properly if they're not dropping weight. And then I said, but if you're at the gym 5 times a week like you say you are, then you should be by rights losing waist size. You should be losing body fat and then putting on muscle and stuff like that. And a lot of the time when you work out what people are doing, they're going to the gym and hopping on the walkers and things like that, but they're actually not doing any resistance work. And you have to move muscle. You have to do compound muscle movements like squats, deadlifts, any of those movements that require your muscles to work. they're the ones you should be doing, like chest press and things like that. So you've got to work the big muscles to be able to burn fat. So I tell people, like, even if you've got to use small weights at the beginning, you have to use some form of resistant work. Even if you use some of the machines, because you are pushing against a weight, or however you want to do it. But you can't just walk or keep thinking that walking alone is going to make you lose weight. Now, walking and running and things like that are very good for your cardiovascular fitness. You should be doing some form of walking or aerobic activity like swimming and things like that, definitely. But you also have to do resistance work if you really want to burn fat. And there's the old saying is that you can't out-train a bad diet. So this is the other thing. So people go to the gym and then they've done such this hard workout and they go home and they think, I'll reward myself now with some treats because I've done all this hard work. What a good girl, what a good boy am I. And they've just undone everything they've gone to do. So that's the other part. So you've got to be real about it. If you're really going to do it properly, you've got to eat properly, you've got to train properly. You don't have to train every day as well. So the other part we just talked about is adequate sleep, saying about friend not sleeping properly. If you're not getting adequate sleep, your metabolism will slow down as well. And speaking about metabolism, a lot of people think by starving themselves that they're actually going to lose weight as well. Well, it can actually go the opposite for you because your body will go into famine mode and then it will store the next thing that comes in. So a lot of people go, well, I only eat, 2 meals a day. Why am I losing weight? Well, because you're storing it all and you're eating crap food at the same time. There's highly refined and you're not eating good foods. That's the other part which I talk to people about, and I know some people might jump up and down about this, but with the intermittent fasting and stuff like that, unless you've maintained or got to your optimum weight, if you're overweight, don't go starting out doing intermittent fasting. You actually have to lose that body fat that you need to lose first, then go and do intermittent fasting. Otherwise, you can go against you at the same time because, again, it's like starving yourself, then your body will store it. So that's another thing I talk to people about as well. But it's about being real about it. So let's talk about it. If you've got a health condition or you want to lose weight or you want to become healthier, you have to change something. So if your New Year's Eve resolution really is to walk into the 20s, because we're in the new decade now, and have this incredible lifestyle, like all these memes that are coming up at the moment, this year's going to be a better year than last year. What are you going to do to change it? And don't give excuses. I think one of the things I see people talk about is excuses of why they can't do something. Oh, I've got this, and I've got a gyno condition, or I've got their back pain, or I've got this, and you don't understand. I understand fully. As I always say to people, I have a health condition that could kill me. And I also talk about that I'm waiting for another. I get in pain a lot, and so I'm waiting for another operation early next year as well. So when people throw out the pain card to me, and you don't understand, or you're a man, what would you know, and things like that, I get a little bit upset and annoyed because pain, no matter what form it comes in, is pain. And it might not be the same as someone else's, or I might not have the same condition as you, but it's all relative, really. And I always say to people, at the end of the day, if I have an acute attack, I could die. So, and some of the pain that I'm in daily is not nice either when I have a flare or attack. So I understand when people have flares. I understand when people have attacks. I know what it's like. I might not know exactly what yours like, but I understand on a whole level that some other people don't. But you can't use that as an excuse, because one of the things that I found, and I know from my own patients, that if we can get them moving and exercising, and then we change their diet so it's less inflammatory and put them on a low inflammatory based diet, we fix their gut, we do all the right stuff with them. They don't get all the period pain. They don't, their endometriosis and all that better. They don't get the flares. They don't have IBS. They don't have the headaches anymore. They don't, whatever condition that they've got, it helps it. So there's no, I think one of the things is that people are looking for the magic pill, and the magic pill does not exist. If it did, we would have no suffering, we'd have no illness, we'd just have to take one pill, wouldn't we? We have to be real about it. So when I'm going to ask you again, what are you going to do this year to make the change to make yourself better? Because we talk about, you know, that body fat, that extra body fat that we get sometimes, because you can be a skinny fat person, let's face it, you can be quite slim and then you have this belly, and then you have a high amount of body fat compared to your lean muscle mass. You can still be a fat skinny person. You can. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but if you've got extra weight on, that's a big part of your illness as well, because it's just feeding more inflammation. And I say this out of a caring and sharing way, that the more body fat you have, the more inflammation you have, and body fat is estrogenic. So I say to all my, you know, gyno patients, especially things like endometriosis and that, well, endo's, you know, driven by estrogens. And what do you think all that body fat is? We call them obestrogens now. So this is the other part. And then some people are on medications and things like that, destroying their gut and their microbiome, which is then adding to more flares and more tummy stuff and more gastrointestinal issues and stuff like that. So you've got to repair the body. So again, what are you going to do to change it? And the first thing you need to change is yourself. You need to change your beliefs. You need to not believe that you're your disease. You've got to stop living your disease and believing you are the disease and getting caught up in your disease, because the more you get caught up into it, the more it bogs you down and the more it makes you upset, and the more the processes turn over in your brain, and that vicious cycle, and then you can't break out of it, and then you sit there and you become depressed, and then you don't want to exercise and you don't want to move and you want to eat shit food and all that kind of stuff. And that's how it starts. But to reverse that process, you start eating well. It all starts with eating well. It starts with thinking better thoughts, thinking positive thoughts, thinking beautiful thoughts. It's called going for a walk, smelling the flowers. Go and book into your local gym and stick with it. Not go and buy a gym membership and then cancel it 3 weeks later because, oh, I'm too busy, or you don't understand, I'm blah, blah. Everyone's busy. Everyone's got a life. I always say to people, I'm a single parent and I've got children and I go to work and I do all that stuff and I can cook good meals. I don't buy excuses from people, because it's just that people need to make more time. They need to either go to bed earlier, they need to get up earlier, they need to cook bulk foods, they need to buy better foods, they need to do more with their time, and they need to prioritize more. And let's face it, the other number one thing, and here we are on social media, is that if we spent the amount of time we spent on our phones and our social media, if we spent that time with our friends, our loved one, our family, cooking good food, exercising and so forth, we'd be a lot better off for it. And have a look how much time you've spent on social media in a week and add it up. And how much time did you spend on Netflix? Because, 45 minutes is all it takes to do a workout. And that's really all it takes. And you don't have to do it 7 days a week. You're not a machine. 3 or 4 days a week, unless you want to really ramp it up and be like an elite athlete. But at the same time, 3 to 4 days a week, let's say realistically 4 days a week of resistance work is probably all you need. And then you have 3 days off. And I always say to people, if that you're good through the year and you're good like 95% of the time, then if it gets to Christmas and things like that, you can go and eat all the stuff. You can have your parties and all that, and it's not going to really make that much difference to you because you've been good all year. Of course, it's going to be a big spike. You might feel like shit the next day though. But at the same time, you're not going to put on a lot of weight because your metabolism's already working, and you can sit back and eat and indulge and have a nice, couple of weeks off and not worry about it too much, and then get back into your training again. So, and your healthy eating again. So that's what I tell people. I mean, we've got to enjoy ourselves, but the problem is a lot of people enjoying themselves too much every day. And I tell people one of the things you can do is just don't drink during the week. Have a couple on the weekend. But, exercise. Make sure you're exercising. Make sure you've got your microbiome. Get that. If you don't get that right, you don't lose weight. Get your food intake right. Don't calorie count either. Calorie counting's old school. Get it out. It doesn't work. Bloody calorie counting. I tell people, look, the best thing you can do is adopt a diet. If you want a name for something, I tell them like a primal-based diet, a low-inflammatory primal eating, which is similar to paleo kind of eating, but you can have a little bit of dairy and stuff. But, that's probably where you need to start, and start with realistic. Be real. Can you do this? Yes, you can. So there's two things. You either do or you don't. There's no such thing as trying. If you're going to do something, it's like this. I can't try to pick up those glasses. I'm either picking them up or I don't. There's no try. You either do or you don't. Don't make excuses. So if your New Year's Eve resolution this year is to get in and it's to be healthier, then be healthier. Clean out your pantry. Clean all the crap out, because if you've got shit food in there, you're going to eat it. So get rid of it. Throw it in the bin. Give it to someone else. Clean out the pantry and put good food in there. It doesn't take much to eat fresh fruit, vegetables, lean meats, nuts, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't. Healthy food is easy. Convenient food, yes, well, that's all the bad food. All right, so let's recap that. You are going to make your New Year's Eve resolutions. Are you going to follow through with it? Well, I hope you are. So what are you going to do this year? Are you going to follow through with it? Are you going to stop the drinking? Are you going to start exercising? Are you going to reduce the refined foods and refined carbohydrates, or get rid of them completely? Are you going to stop sneaking in those little bits of chocolate and those biscuits and the Tim Tams and things like that? You're going to stop sneaking in the empty sugars? Are you going to stop making the excuses why you can't exercise and actually make more affirmations of why you can do it? And again, people say, oh yeah, but I'm tired, I can't do the exercise. But it's the other way around too. If you don't exercise, you're going to be tired as well. So I know myself, towards the end of this year, I let my exercise regime slip a bit because the mad, silly season that we all do to ourselves. And then I was getting tighter and tighter and tighter. And then that was affecting my health, and all the things started to go bad towards the end of the year. And we do this, and I'm never going to let that happen again. So keep up your exercise, keep it all up. If you're going to do it, get in it. And the other thing is, go and get some help. There's even YouTube tutorial, whatever, but go and get a personal trainer, get a nutritionist. Just spend a little bit of money if you have to get someone to show you how to exercise, show you how to eat properly, set you a plan. And if you don't have the money, ask someone to lend you the money, or, you know, we got Christmas presents and things like that, or for your birthday or whatever. Just find ways of doing it. You can't always do it yourself. And if you don't know what good food is, find out what good food. The best way, again, is if it comes off a tree, it comes out of the ground. That's usually good food. All as they say is, when you go to the shopping centres, you should do the outer aisles, except for the frozen section. But normally on the outer aisles, you have all the fruit and veggie section, you have the meat section, the dairy section and stuff like that, and then it gets to the frozen section. But it's true, you want to stick away from the inner aisles. You'll do yourself a favour. All right, I am about to leave you on that note. Let's be serious. If you are serious about making those resolutions, then do it. There's only do, there is no try. All right, everyone, have a very good new year. Don't get too drunk. And if your New Year's resolution is to give up the alcohol, then give it up. Talk soon.